Are you a golfer who consistently slices the golf ball? If so, I guarantee you've looked at loads of YouTube clips or received golf lessons to try and fix this problem and often got nowhere. Have you ever considered that one of the main reasons why you struggle to improve this is how you cannot move your body physically in a way that stops this? One thing all slices of the golf ball have in common at impact is the club. If this is my target line down here, the club is moving across the line, so down this first stick, with the face wide open to try and keep it square to the target. This obviously creates a very much over the top motion that creates a lot of side spin from left to right. However, this is what's happening at impact, so therefore in the backswing and in transition, we know there's something that's happening that's essentially playing a key role into how that club's going to be delivered. What we see regularly is in the top of this backswing, the club gets very steep in transition. So essentially it gets very vertical, and we might even see often the hands move away from the body in the downswing. So the hands are moving out, the club is getting very steep. As we continue to come down into impact, we can see we're going to have to somehow get back to the ball. So we're going to see that club chop across the ball, that wide open face, and that handle or the grip get very upright. This is obviously going to lead to very little ball speed, tough to create lots of clubhead speed, and naturally really hard to control the golf ball. In this video, I'm going to show you how certain physical limitations prevent you from being able to move as effectively to the top of the backswing that can then limit how you move in transition and play a key role in why you're slicing the golf ball. So one of the reasons we are limited in creating that width and the correct depth in the top of the backswing is how our rib cage and how our spine moves both in a rotational manner, in a flexion and extension manner, and in a side-to-side manner. If we're very jammed up in this position, lots of amateur golfers spend a lot of time behind a desk or behind a wheel, we lose that ability to move that freely, which then restricts how the arms can create space and creates more of that narrow position. So if I limit my rotation here and I'm very rounded, the arms get stuck, and by the time we get to the top of the backswing, we're in a very narrow position. That means we're unable to rotate and create width, which is going to lead to that steepening. So if we see that kind of poor turn, rounded, narrow here, we're going to get very steep or very stuck behind to have to steepen down. We want to focus on some exercise that's going to really help free up this area to help provide more rotation through the rib cage, more extension, so we're essentially less round in the back to help give us more freedom, and more stretch for our back muscles, which is going to help our arms stay out wider and be able to turn longer, which is then going to allow us a little bit more space and time to keep that club more on plane and more shallow to limit the movement that causes slicing. So the first exercise I want you to do is we're going to focus on trying to do something called decompressing of the rib cage and spine. So this is the ability to almost lengthen out and extend the spine and rib cage to be able to have more freedom in the movement we're looking for. All you need is a pull-up bar or something similar. We're going to just start with a neutral grip. This will be the easiest on the hands and shoulders. Now this will be demanding on the grip, but the more you do it, the better you'll get. And it's a very, very simple movement where you're just going to grip, let yourself fully hang so you're dead straight, and you're trying to feel like you're letting your whole body weight drop into the floor. So you'll feel lots of different areas of the body pulling down because gravity is essentially stretching you out and decompressing your spine. You can even tilt your head back slightly to give more of a stretch, and you're just going to hold this position for as long as you can, or within roughly 5 seconds of your maximum, where your fatigue in the grip will go. And all we're doing is letting this movement, this position, this hold stretch us out. The next exercise I want you to do is we're going to focus on trying to lengthen out the lat muscles through the shoulder. Okay, so the first exercise we've stretched out and decompressed. Now we're trying to gain some movement. We're going to start by setting up a bench on a slight incline. You can have this flat, but it's easier on an incline and you might build up to it. I'm using an Olympic plate. You can use a dumbbell for the same movement. You're going to simply lie on the bench where your head's fully touching, slightly bend the elbows, and in a controlled manner, you're going to reach overhead to roughly 80% of what feels like your max range of motion, and then you're going to power up to the top. You're going to focus on doing roughly 12 repetitions, and as you get through every 3 or 4 reps, you're going to feel like you're increasing that range of motion. Naturally, we're just letting the weight through gravity pull us down and stretch out beyond a range of motion that wouldn't be easy to do in just a static hold. And you'll feel this roughly in the side of the back and back of the shoulders and even triceps. Depending on your range of motion will determine how far you can go, but we're looking to build this up to increase that capacity. And finally, we will want to focus on some form of strengthening exercise that helps ingrain that movement and new range of motion. Using a resistance band, although you can use a dumbbell in each hand, we're going to focus on up to 12 repetitions for this, doing these 3 exercises in a circuit type fashion where you're repeating each as you go before resting. And if you get used to doing these in a daily routine, you will start to notice some good differences with how that rib cage can move, as we discussed earlier. So all you're going to do, stand with your arms roughly shoulder width apart at the end of the band. Obviously, the closer they are, the stronger the band. You're going to hinge over, so your chest is facing the floor, head down, and you're going to try and pull the band to your chest, stretching it as far as you can. If that feels too easy, narrow the grip and repeat the same motion. So now that you've improved the physical capacity and finding some more range of motion and freedom, we also need to feel more of what that is like in the golf swing so we can access that. I'm going to use a gravity fit band, which is a great tool for this, but you can just use a general lightish resistance band to help with the feel. What we're looking for, if I show you without the club, is that ability to almost feel like we're pushing the arms away so we keep stretch on the band. This is helping with that stretch, like we've been working on gaining more range of motion through the lats. We're also trying to get more extension, so we want to feel like we really turn and essentially maybe even feel like we get slightly taller in the backswing without obviously lifting. There's a big difference between the two. And this is straight away giving me some space through the arms. If I do that with a club, you can see how I'm going to just stretch the band and feel tall, and straight away I've got now space with the arms. Here we can see now I'm not in a narrow, cramped position. That means I'm just going to pull down and steepen that club. We've now got some space and width to essentially turn and rotate our lower and our core to be able to keep that club in a more shallow position and plane. And all we're going to focus on is trying to create that stretch and that feel and hit a few balls like that and see if we can essentially transfer some of those physical qualities into the technical qualities. So I'm going to rehearse, and then I'm just going to hit with that same feel. Overall, we've highlighted if we improve our physical components, this is going to give us more opportunity in reducing that slicing capacity if we relate that to a technical component. Make sure to watch this video next for more detailed movement on understanding how to stretch the body and apply that in a more biomechanical sense for better quality rotation. If you want a more structured routine on how you can improve your overall physical capacity through both the upper and lower body, you can sign up to my Golf Fitness app here to gain access to different routines.